and welcome. I'm Waris Mohammed and this is the English news program on SLN TV. Now these are the headlines. President of Somaliland and senior delegation arrive in Turkey. Vice President of Somaliland attends ceremony commemorating World Bank support towards Somaliland's private sector. Uhuru Kenyatta conveys message to international community to not interfere in Kenyan politics. President of Somaliland Ahmed Seilani, accompanied by senior delegation of government officials, arrived at Ankara, Turkey on the eve of high-level diplomatic discussions between both governments. Turkey and Somaliland have continued to strengthen relations during this administration's term in office. First Lady Amina Waris also accompanied by the President on this diplomatic visit. Senior members of Turkey's government representing Turkey's Foreign Affairs Office welcomed the President of Somaliland and his delegation upon their arrival. The following days are expected to bear high-level diplomatic talks between the President of Somaliland and the Prime Minister of Turkey. Somaliland Business Fund, in cooperation with the World Bank, provided 59 Somaliland applicants with grants and startup funds to implement micro-businesses throughout the nation. The purpose to further fuel emerging sectors through citizen entrepreneurship. Vice President of Somaliland, Abdurrahman Ismail Seili'i, attended the commemoration ceremony.
Other cabinet ministers, including Minister of Planning and National Development, Saad Ali Shire, Minister of Livestock, Abdi Ol Dahir, Minister of Agriculture, Farah El Mugedole, and other distinguished guests such as the President of Hargeisa University were also in attendance. Minister of Planning and National Development, Saad Ali Shire, commended the efforts of SBF and the World Bank for their enormous role in developing the nation's private sector through such initiatives. The minister also congratulated the grant and fund recipients while urging that they utilize this opportunity to better themselves and the lives of fellow citizens. Vice President of Somaliland, Abdurrahman Ismail Seili'i, reaffirmed his belief that the World Bank continues to portray its commitment in supporting Somaliland on its road to progress and development, and other organizations should follow suit and implement similar projects. Other keynote speakers at the event included representatives of funding partners, award recipients, and other notable figures of Somaliland society.
The Ministry of Finance held an opening event for newly employed civil servants. This comes amidst pledges from this administration to provide more job opportunities to the unemployed. Minister of Finance Abdulaziz Mohamed Samale and Minister of State for Somaliland Ministry of Finance Usman Sahardid Adani participated in the opening event.
Chairman of the Civil Service Commission, Nuh Sheikh Musa Duala, provided trainees and other distinguished guests with initial remarks. The chairman responsible for administering and facilitating the civil service workforce elaborated on the substantial increase in civil servant numbers since this administration took office. He explained the objective of providing more job opportunities to the unemployed as a prime concern for this government. Minister of Finance Abdulaziz Mohamed Samale and Minister of State for Somaliland's Ministry of Finance Usman Sahardid Adani collectively welcomed the trainees and provided words of encouragement for their choice in serving their nation through civil work.
You're still tuned into the English news program on Somaliland National Television, the only Somali-speaking channel with English news program. And now for our international headlines in detail. Uhuru Kenyatta, Kenya's Deputy Prime Minister, has asked the international community to respect the democratic will of the Kenyan people after winning the country's presidential election. Kenyatta faces trial for crimes against humanity in July at the International Criminal Court (ICC) over violence that took place in the aftermath of the country's previous election in 2007. In his acceptance speech on Saturday, Kenyatta called for unity and pledged cooperation with international institutions, but also said that he expected the world to respect Kenya's sovereignty. Kenyatta was named the winner of the election after gaining 50.7% of the vote, but his opponent Raila Odinga, the country's prime minister, has refused to concede, alleging multiple failures in the election's integrity that he said has put Kenyan democracy on trial. Japan is marking the second anniversary of the devastating tsunami and earthquake that claimed 19,000 lives and caused the worst nuclear accident in decades. A national ceremony organized by the government began in Tokyo on Monday to commemorate victims of the disaster. Mourners across the countries observed a moment of silence at 2:46 p.m., the exact time the tsunami struck for those killed. A 9.0 magnitude earthquake struck the country's northern Pacific coast on March 11, 2011, triggering a tsunami that destroyed thousands of homes and hit the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant, causing meltdowns and explosions in what has become the worst nuclear catastrophe since Chernobyl in 1986. The anniversary has highlighted the country's continuing struggle to clean up the radiation that was unleashed, rebuild communities, and determine new energy and economic strategies. Syrian rebels have freed 21 UN peacekeepers and have handed them over to Jordanian authorities, an international peace envoy to Syria says. Mukhtar Lamani, the Damascus representative of the new UN Arab League peace envoy to Syria, said the peacekeepers crossed into Jordan on Saturday afternoon.
UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon welcomed the release, but said all sides in the conflict must respect the UN's impartiality. Ban appreciates the efforts of all concerned to secure their safe release, said a statement released by his press office. The peacekeepers, all Filipinos, were seized on Wednesday and were being held in the village of Jamla near Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. Yarmouk Martyrs Brigade, a rebel group, claimed to be behind the kidnapping. The UN force has been monitoring an Israeli-Syrian ceasefire for 4 decades without incident, and the abduction of the 21 men added another destabilizing twist to Syria's civil war.
That's all. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.